All right, guys, welcome back. This is Chase from the past. I recorded this video before I left for California for Thanksgiving. And so I want to say thank you real quick to a new channel member, Dalton Ferris, with a Tier 2 membership. Dalton, glad you enjoy the videos, man. Thank you so much for that Tier 2 membership. And for the rest of our channel members, make sure to go to the community tab. The last thing I posted on there is a link to the Rodman Rundown merchandise store. And you guys are able to purchase anything if you'd like. There's like a little preview of some of the stuff that we've got in there. It's open to members for now because I want to make sure everything works fine. There's no issues with the website. There's no issues with anything else. And then once we get to 5,000 channel subscribers here on the channel, we will definitely open that up to everybody else. And you all could have your own personal t-shirt from the Rodman Rundown and all that stuff. So I just want to kind of get it out there to a few people first and make sure everything's working good, the quality's good, all that stuff. So hopefully you don't mind that. I just want to be safe, you know. So today's video, I'm trying my best to not ruffle any feathers, trying not to stir the pot. But I'm sure in the comment section below, I'm going to be getting roasted because, you know, you're a high limit homer and you work for them and you're going to talk the best about them and you used to work for the Outlaws and so screw you, man, you hate them, right? None of that's true, right? I talk about everybody on this channel, whether it's the Outlaws, whether it's High Limit, the PA guys. You know, we talked about Power Eye on here. We talked about the All-Stars on here. We talked about, you know, Narc on here. We talked about everybody in sprint car racing here on this channel. Nobody is, you know, subjected to, you know, certain treatments and things like that. But I found this video very interesting. I found these, you know, stat lines very interesting, you know, due to the fact that High Limit had, you know, quite a few less races this year than the Outlaws. And so I wanted to look at it. I guess the way to look at this is the quality of the racing, the entertainment value of the racing. I guess that's how you can kind of put it. But there are, you know, some outliers, right? There could be a race, you know, that had no lead changes that was fantastic, and we thought it was a great race. Like one that comes to mind for me is Butler this year, where McFadden won. He led every lap, but, you know, it was still a great race right behind him. Basically, what we're looking at here is, you know, how many, as far as the races go, how many races this year with the Outlaws and High Limit had, you know, no lead changes, had multiple lead changes, had different amounts of guys leading laps. And you might find this interesting because High Limit this year had 53 races, which is 16 less than what the Outlaws had. And this is with all the prelim nights combined, you know, with the two prelim nights from Silver Dollar, the prelim, you know, from the Eldora Double Down Duels. And for the Outlaws, they had prelim nights, I believe, at Huset's and maybe one other race as well. But that's also what their prelim nights. So with this year, no lead changes, a race where a guy started on the front row, either first or second, and he led all 30 laps. He led all 25. He led all 40. With High Limit this year, in 53 races, there was only 10 events that were led from start to finish by one guy. That is 18% of the races this year were led by, you know, one single driver. And I want to say that two of them were led by, of all people, Trey Starks. He led all the laps in two races this year with High Limit, which is kind of weird. When you look at the Outlaw side of things, with 16 more races, they have 15 more races that had no lead changes this year. So for them, that is 36% of their races this year had nobody that led, you know, or that had a guy that led every single lap of the feature event, which is quite interesting due to the fact that they had, you know, that many more races. I guess it kind of correlates, right? They had more races, so that means they had more opportunities for a guy to lead all the laps. But it gets a little bit more interesting when you go down to the next line. Races where there were 3 different leaders at least. Okay, so, you know, Brad Sweet led 5 laps, McFadden led 12, and Zeb Wise led 12. You know, like that is what I'm talking about here on this stat line. With High Limit this year, in 53 races, there were 16 events that had 3+ leaders. There was races that had 4, but with 3 or more leaders, 30% of the races this year with High Limit, 16 of them had 3+ leaders. When it comes to the Outlaw side of things, even with 16 more races, High Limit had 4 more with 3+ different leaders. 12 for the Outlaws, that is 17% of the races for them had 3 different leaders or more. Now, when it comes to guys that actually at least led 1 lap with the series, so, you know, let's just say there was a couple guys you'll see down here in a minute. There was a couple guys that led 1 lap with each series this year, at least 1 lap, right? And that's what I'm looking at with this line. So with High Limit in 53 races, there were 34 drivers that led at least 1 lap with the series this year. And with the Outlaws, in 69 total races, they had 30 guys lead a lap. So I'm not sure how you explain that, right? I mean, 16 less races. They had 4 more different leaders. They had 4 more, races with 3+ different leaders. I find that very, very interesting. Now, I want to look at this as well. How many races this year were won from the first or the second starting position? So you were on the front row of the feature, the best seat in the house to take the green flag. With high limit this year, 22 races were won from either first or second position, which is 41% of the races. When it comes to the Outlaws, they had 43 races this year that were won from either first or second starting position, which is 62% of the races for them. And so meaning that more than likely with the Outlaws, you're going to see the guy winning from the front row 43 times this year out of 69. Now, the average winning starting position is something I want to look at too. So basically, all of the races combined, the average starting position of the eventual winner for high limit, obviously I think you want that number to be higher, right? Because that would mean more guys are coming from the back and making their way forward. With high limit, the average starting position was 3.4, and for the Outlaws, it was 2.9. So about a half of a position higher for high limit this year. And I already know that people are typing their comments in right now saying that you suck and you hate the Outlaw. I can already feel it coming, right? But how do you explain this? And I got a couple of things that maybe could attribute to why this happens. My opinion, I think that high limit does go to some better, more racy tracks. I think that is something that happens. I also think that this year, the high limit roster was a lot deeper than the Outlaw roster. And then I also think that maybe the format had something to do with it as well. With the Outlaws, it's straight up all night. You're quick time. You're on the pole of the heat race. You can get shuffled a little bit in the dash, redraw or whatever, right? But with high limit, the quick time guy starts fourth. That gives an opportunity for a guy that qualified maybe a little bit worse to be on the front row of a heat race. He gets the win. He goes to the dash. That brings more guys towards the front of the field. I love that part about high limit. I love the format change. With the Outlaws, it's very basic, right? It's easy for fans to keep up with. But I think maybe that contributes to some of the numbers that you see on the board. Now, I want to look at this as well. It doesn't really correlate with everything else, but I found it quite interesting as well. There were this many drivers. I didn't even count how many that is, that were able to lead laps with both series this year. And you'll see on here, there's quite a few guys that were not a part of either series. They didn't run full time with either of the series. Kyle Larson is one of them. You got Chase Randall in the 2KS on the board. Garrett Williamson is 3. Aaron Reitzel is 4. Anthony Macri 5, and then Ryan Timms 6. So 6 drivers this year that were with neither series were able to lead a lap with both of them. Now, on the high limit side of things, you had Nick Fadden, you had Corey Day, you had Brent Marks, Brad Sweet, Tyler Courtney, Jacob Allen, Rico Abreu, and that is it. So 7 guys from high limit were able to lead laps with both series. And then with the Outlaws, you have, let's see here, you've got Gravel, you've got Macedo, Schuhart, Kofoid, and Selzy. So 5 guys from the Outlaws were able to lead laps with high limit and the Outlaws. So I don't know. What do you guys think about some of this information that I've got on the board? Do you find that interesting? What do you think in the comment section below? What do you think is the cause for this? Why does high limit have less races but have better numbers when it comes to different guys leading laps? They have more guys leading laps. What do you think is the cause of that? And I cannot wait to read the comment section below and see what everybody's saying about me, because I'm sure I'm going to lose a couple subscribers to this. Might even lose a channel member. We'll wait and see what happens. But I thought it was definitely something that needed to be shown on a video. I've been thinking about it for a long time, and finally was able to get some time and put it all together. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit subscribe, or if you hate me, hit unsubscribe as well. Hit the like button, and we'll talk to you guys again soon. And to close out the video, as we normally do here when we get a new channel member, we like to thank the rest of them. So Dalton Ferris, once again, thanks for that Tier 2 membership, man. Blake Dowell, Easy Does It, Skyke, Skaloner, Brent Bear, Ed Minus, Ryan Farnsley, John O'Neill. Thank you guys so much, as well as Daryl Snipey, Matt Parsons, Caleb Johnson, Ryan Showalter, Nate Trewin, Bill Cinnamon, Kurt Brooks, Jay Hotlaps, Brad Reynolds. And then we got our final column here with Greg Holcomb, Zemco Racing, Racing Vagabond, Christopher Thacker, Dustin Stahl, Bill Gillis, Cedric Ritchie Racing, Jay Strasser, and Fantasy Man. Thank you all so much for your contribution to this channel to try and make it better and better. Appreciate all of you, and we'll talk again soon.